Okay, so imagine like uh, a world where just thinking about something could actually like make it happen miles away. Wine that knows when its grapes are blooming, like across the world. And witches,
Yeah.
not just stories, but like a real power they can tap into.
You're really hitting on the vibe of Francis Barrett's The Magus.
Yeah, talk about a wild ride, right? And we're diving into that today. Specifically, you gave us selections from book 2.
Right, yeah, we've got magnetism, Kabbalah, even a little Trithemius of Spanheim, just for flavor.
Dense stuff. But that's why we're here, to unpack it all. So right off the bat, Barrett throws magnetism at us. But he's talking about wines being affected by, like, distant vines, not your usual fridge magnets here.
Not at all, and that's what's so clever. He uses this image that people kind of get, like, everyone's heard how wine is connected to the earth, right? But then he uses it to introduce action at a distance, this idea that things are linked across the universe by some invisible force.
Like a hidden web. And if we knew the code, we could use it. And he doesn't stop at wine. Pregnant women marking their kids just by thinking, eagles finding dead animals without smell or sight. It makes you wonder, what if?
Exactly. And this leads to Barrett talking about directing ideas. He says it takes charity or a desire of goodwill, basically really strong yearning, love, compassion, that it can actually influence things far away.
Like a proto-power of intention, centuries ahead of its time.
Right. Though Barrett doesn't shy away from the, let's say, less benevolent side of this either. He spends a good chunk of time on witchcraft, trying to lay out what a witch can really do versus what requires outside help, so to speak.
Demonic assistance, is that what we're calling it today?
Well, Barrett doesn't quite use those terms, but
No.
he's getting at this idea that a witch's power isn't all demons and hexes. It's something natural within the soul, dormant since, the fall and all that.
So we've all got this magical potential just waiting to be unlocked. It's got a lot to process before lunch.
It's a core idea for Barrett. He suggests practices like Kabbalah can reawaken that power, but always connected to the divine, the soul, reflecting God. That's where this ability comes from.
Right. Divine power, not evil sorcery.
Exactly.
Okay. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it? Barrett gets into these hierarchies of spirits, good, A, and D, bad, all competing for us like some cosmic tug of war over our souls.
Exactly. And he goes into detail. He is mapping out this unseen world, names, what days they rule, even how they look. It's quite a read.
And this is where the pentacles, the seals, the rituals come in, like tools to navigate all that and connect with the right side of the spiritual spectrum.
Yes. And the details matter. Specific materials, timing, even the person's mindset while making them. Barrett includes diagrams, chants. There's a system to it. Not just wishing on a star here, it's precise.
Follow the recipe or your Wi-Fi router explodes, is what I'm hearing. It's like he's saying, look, if you're going to build a magical Wi-Fi router, you'd better follow the instructions carefully. But all this talk about spirits and seals and rituals, it makes you wonder, where did Barrett even get these ideas? Who were his influences?
Now we're getting into the good stuff. See, Barrett's writing in the 19th century, but he's drawing on a long line of, let's say, unconventional thinkers. Take Paracelsus, for example. 16th century physician, alchemist, the whole shebang.
Paracelsus, right. Wasn't he the one who believed in the interconnectedness of everything and the power of the human will to influence nature? I feel like I remember something about talismans in astrological medicine, too.
You're right on the money. Paracelsus believed that those celestial bodies, they weren't just pretty lights, they directly affected our health, and that objects could hold magical powers.
Okay, yeah, I see the connection to Barrett there, especially with the whole timing and materials thing. It's like Paracelsus supplied the ingredients, and Barrett, a couple centuries later, whipped up this whole magical recipe.
A perfect analogy. And we can't forget Cornelius Agrippa, Renaissance man, wrote the book, literally, on occult philosophy. 3 books of occult philosophy. He was big on magic, the human mind, and this world soul connecting everything.
Okay, yeah, that's ringing a bell. Sounds like Agrippa's ideas were right up Barrett's alley. So Barrett's got this buffet of occult ideas, right? Adds his own spin, and boom, the Magus is served. But, and this is important, he's also trying to square it all with being a good Christian. Yeah.
Absolutely. Barrett's walking this tightrope. On the one hand, magic, spirits, incredible powers. On the other hand, God's will, don't be a jerk, and definitely no dabbling with demons.
No using your powers for evil, got it.
Exactly. He even calls out necromancy as super dangerous, potentially blasphemous even, and black magic. Forget about it. That's a one-way ticket to eternal damnation. Barrett's not messing around.
It's like, dude, you can try to hack the universe, But don't come crying to me when your soul gets a virus.
That's one way to put it. But even with all the warnings, there are some truly out there concepts in the Magus. What's the one that really makes you go, huh?
Oh, man. There are so many. But the mummial spirit, that one's got to take the cake.
Okay, mummial spirit it is. Buckle up. So Barrett uses this term to talk about a sort of life force, an energy that sticks around even after death. He says that's what draws scavengers, not just the smell, but something else. Like, imagine a faint energy signature. And get this, he even suggests some animals can absorb this mummial spirit, rejuvenate themselves with it.
Well, hold on. It's like, are we talking about ghost energy here? This is getting into X-Files territory.
It's wild, right? And it kind of makes you think about things like chi or prana.
Yeah.
These ideas of a life force that we're still exploring today.
Yeah, like Barrett was tapping into something, even if he didn't have the scientific language for it yet. And this energy, this mummial spirit, it can be used, right, for magic.
Bingo. This is where the sympathetic magic comes back in. That unguent we talked about, the one that can heal a wound from afar. Barrett suggests the mummial spirit is the key. It's like the delivery system for the healing power, connecting the weapon to the wound.
Mind blown. It's like he's creating a whole new system of magic, complete with its own laws of physics and weird invisible particles.
And it all comes back to his understanding of the human soul and how it connects to the divine.
Right, it's all connected. But maybe a little too connected for comfort, if you ask me. Makes you wonder, are we meant to mess with these forces?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But Barrett's pretty clear. Knowledge, especially about the unseen world, it's powerful stuff. It can be used for good, for healing, but it can also be misused. And the consequences, well, let's just say they're not pretty.
So how do we walk that line? How do we explore these ideas, this potential, without summoning something we can't control? It's like we're trying to download a program, but the terms and conditions are written in ancient Sumerian. It's like we're trying to upgrade our spiritual operating system, but the instruction manual is full of cryptic symbols and warnings about voiding the warranty on our souls.
Yeah, it's not exactly plug and play, is it? Look, it's not really about finding the modern equivalent of a pentacle or whatever. It's more about, like, cultivating the right mindset, you know?
Okay, so being open to the possibility that there's more out there than we can see, but not just going off the deep end.
Right. You got to have that critical thinking, that skepticism, but also a little humility. Like maybe our current understanding of reality isn't the be-all and end-all.
So embracing the mystery, but not checking our brains at the door. Easier said than done.
Tell me about it. But think about it. Even today, we see these things that kind of blur the lines. Placebo effect, the power of suggestion. We know our minds can impact our physical selves.
That's true. I mean, haven't we all had that, whoa, did I just will that to happen? Somewhere, or when you're in a bad mood and suddenly everything goes wrong. Maybe Barrett was onto something, even if we call it something different now.
Exactly. He's using the language of his time spirits. Magic. But underneath, it's stuff we're still grappling with. Consciousness, the mind-body connection, the power of intention, that's not just woo-woo anymore, it's being studied.
So the Magus, weird as it is, maybe it's not just a dusty old book. Maybe it's a reminder that we're capable of more than we realize, and that exploring those hidden parts of ourselves, the unseen forces, maybe that's not such a bad idea.
Maybe not, but it's got to be done carefully. Like Barrett says, knowledge is power, and power can be misused, especially when you're dealing with forces you don't fully understand.
Right, no going all mad scientist with the fabric of reality. So where does that leave us? How do we even start to explore this stuff safely? Asking for a friend, of course.
The million-dollar question. But if the Magus teaches us anything, it's this. The real magic, the real power. It's not about controlling spirits or bending spoons with your mind. It's about mastering yourself. Understanding your own thoughts, your intentions, and the consequences of your actions. That's where the real journey begins.
So less about casting spells, more about self-reflection. Barrett's kind of a down-to-earth occultist when you think about it.
You could say that. He's advocating for a magic that's about personal growth, integrity, and respecting the interconnectedness of everything. Not a bad message for the 19th century, or the 21st for that matter.
That's a wrap on Francis Barrett and the Magus. We've journeyed through 19th century magic, folks, complete with magnetism, spirits, and the awesome potential of the human mind.
And maybe a few more questions than answers, but hey, that's how we learn, right? Keep asking those questions, keep exploring, and who knows what you might discover.